in just a second.
Oh, I've got it up.
All right. I think
You see it?
we are live.
Yay.
Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for a LinkedIn Live. This is Micah Lawrence, Dana Williams, and H. Muir. We're doing a LinkedIn Live today about building your coaching brand. We're excited to be here with you and hope that anybody who is joining and as you join are comfortable leaving some comments in the comments section. We keep an eye on that every time we have one of these, and we like to answer questions on the fly. So we hope you'll feel comfortable putting those in there, and we will definitely see it and respond. Part of what we're doing today, we do these every once in a while, Dana, H, and I, just because for one, we like spending time together, and that's a positive, but also we just love teaching a lot about what we've learned as we've built our own coaching practices. And H, if you'll start kicking off some slides, we want to just make sure that people know kind of who we're speaking to, what you should know to know whether this is for you, what we're talking about today. And the three situations that we've thought about, if this is for you, is A, if you're unsure where to begin. We hear from people all the time where they're interested in coaching or they are new coaches and they just don't really know where to start. B, it's not easy. Some people are struggling with figuring out what to do to build a coaching practice, but they know that that's their passion and that's what they want to do. And C, we often know that people just want more. They've started a coaching practice, it seems to be going well, or you think that there's potential there, but you want to achieve more. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is some ways to build your coaching brand so that you get more out of that experience and get to continue doing what you love. So this is the thing, as we've talked about this and prepared for different LinkedIn Lives like this, the three of us have talked about the fact that we've all struggled with building our coaching brand and our coaching practice because it's confusing. There isn't a clear path toward doing it the right way. There is no one right way. A lot of people are doing it wrong. I feel like I bring this up every once in a while because it feels personal to me, where I've worked with coaches who went through my coaching program with me and had to go back after a year or so, had to go back to a corporate job or a regular business, a career that wasn't coaching because they couldn't figure out how to do it right and how to have success as a coach. And then that third one, this is where it really hits home for us. There's never been a good playbook for how to build a coaching business. There's lots of help and resources around being a coach and having a coaching mindset and coaching competencies that can help you be effective as you work with clients. But where's the other half of the business? The actual, how do I create a product that people want? How do I sell that product and create proposals and have people commit? And how do I invoice them and schedule and all of those things that make the business hard but rewarding? There hasn't been a playbook for that. So now there is. That's what Dana, H, and I have been working on. And this is what we love to share with people through a mastermind that we created called the Coaching Exchange. It's 12 weeks of live 1-hour sessions, 1 week after another, where we talk about different business and coaching and brand principles for anybody who is an aspiring or new coach to be able to have the longevity and sustainability of a coaching practice that they can do as a long-term career and be successful. So we're going to take just a quick second to introduce ourselves. My name is Micah Lawrence. I'm an ICF certified leadership coach and a Gallup certified strengths coach. I work primarily with leaders and teams, and I love helping. I use the Clifton Strengths Assessment in all of the work that I do. I love helping leaders lean into their potential as leaders and teams to become high-performing teams. I'm going to hand it over to Dana and let her introduce herself, and then we'll have H introduce himself as well before we get into the content that we wanted to share today around building your coaching brand. Dana, go ahead.
Thank you, Micah, and thank you, H, for our time today. We've been together for about almost, I think, 2 years, and we created this because we saw the need. And I came from corporate, just like Micah, he didn't mention that. Also a Gallup certified Clifton Strengths coach. I had the opportunity to coach internally and work with the tool with Clifton Strengths for about 10 years. So I had that, and I knew I wanted to get into coaching for my next chapter. And it's been real exciting. I do work with leaders in corporate, and I have developed the Strengths Journal, which is a daily planner to live in your strengths every day. And that is something that most of my corporate clients love having to keep their strengths alive daily as they transform their life and their teams. I'm going to kick it off to H and remind everybody to please write your questions in, and we'll be answering throughout. So H.
Thanks, Dana. I'm H. Muir. H is my first initial, what everybody calls me. My business I call Lift Shop. I work with brands, teams, and organizations to give them a lift. Lift stands for leadership, ideas through facilitation and training. I've been on my own almost 13 years, and I consider myself, I'm a facilitator. I coach leadership teams. I spent 20 plus years in corporate, in HR, in a number of roles, mostly around learning and development and organizational development. So that's where I've been. So that's as we got together and realized we had common interest and it had a common experience. We thought there was an opportunity with the coaching exchange, and you can see our mission here. It's really about helping you develop as coaches, but also helping you develop your business. And in developing your business, part of that involves creating a brand. And that's really what we're going to focus on today. But you can see here's the pillars, and this also kind of gives you a flavor for what our mastermind is about. It's 12 weeks, as Micah said, pretty much equally divided between coaching and sharing what we know about coaching and some best practices. It's about brand building. You're going to get a taste of that today. And the last is about grow your business. And I think these are just some of the content that we might offer in a mastermind. We actually have participants. We survey them to see, in our toolkit and our inventory of content, what's most meaningful for them.
We probably started with like 20 different topics when we first started surveying people.
Yeah, for sure.
We want the participants to be involved in deciding what we learn about.
Yeah,
it's funny because AI came out big time during that first session, and that became something that wasn't on our radar to talk about until that came out. But we learned through our LinkedIn Lives we did last year and through Clubhouse that there were things that were relevant that we brought up, and we went and researched and said, here's what we're doing. So you'll see things like that pop up as well.
Yep. And so today we wanted to, kind of give you a little bit of a sneak peek at one of the things that we offer. We call it building your coaching brand. This is an abridged version of what you would experience in the mastermind, where in the mastermind, we always have homework for every session, and we debrief the homework at the beginning of the next mastermind. So you'll get a sense of that today. And then we also spend, in the hour, probably half our time on sharing content that's relevant to our participants, and also doing Q&A. So this is just, in our agenda, right, for what we would do in the mastermind, we'll go through this pretty high level and really discover things about what you might do to build your brand, where to start, and we'll highlight that. It's interesting, this in Harvard Business Review in May, June, they actually had some interesting insight research on building your personal brand and why it's so important. And ours is focused on helping you build your personal brand as coaches. And so that's really what today would be about in our mastermind. And we start from the beginning. What's a brand, and why as a coach do you need one? And I think people a lot of times think, have traditionally thought, well, brand is just the advertising that you get. But a brand is really a map. It's a strategic document. Call it a document. It's a strategic tool, really, that helps guide all of your communications so that you're perceived as a coach the way you want to be perceived. And I love the quote from Bezos at the bottom. A brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And so when we talk about why is a brand important, why is it one of the pillars of our mastermind and the coaching exchange. We find that first, it gives you clarity, right? It's a strategic tool that helps you make choices. Anytime you're working on a strategy, it's about making choices, and the choices you make are about who am I, how do I want to be perceived as a coach, and we also it also that clarity we think really gives you confidence. So one of the things that we think is in the coaching exchange is one of the real benefits is we're not just helping you develop the competence to have a successful business, be a successful coach. It's to give you the confidence to go out there and take risks and take on the challenges that come with running a business. Other thing about building brand, it differentiates you. One of the first exercises we do is about your value proposition, and it's what type of coach are you? Well, who's your target audience? And then clearly identify what are their needs, and then how do you differentiate from other coaches that they might be considered. So those are some of the things we talk about why build a brand. This is what we call the 4 P's of marketing your brand, and you can see this. This is what we would take you through. Today, we're going to focus on the first P. That's your power. It's really what are your brand assets and the benefits that you provide. We have a session on purpose. It's why do you coach? We find that really helps kind of create your North Star, anchors you in what it is that you provide to others. And I think it starts to be the foundation, that the power is your foundation. That's who you are. The purpose also kind of just why you do it. And then the other 2, your positioning pitch, if you will, is really the articulation of your brand. Like who are you targeting to, and how do you have compelling communications to those people about what you provide as a coach. And then, so that's a little more strategic, the positioning. And then we also work on your elevator pitch, right? When you're confronted with an opportunity and a potential client, how do you summarize all of who you are and what you do succinctly and have the impact that you want it to have? And the last is your activation or your platform, right? How do you activate the brand? It's like it's all on paper and you have the direction and the clarity. How do you actually articulate that? How will you reach your target? And we'll talk about what platform is your target on, and which is the best way for you to engage your target. We also get to the point where we've talked about for our brands, the 3 of our individual brands, why we choose the color and fonts that we do, because they align with our brand positioning, which is anchored in our purpose. So this is pretty much our overview for building that brand. And so it starts with your power, right? Any brand is anchored. I don't care if that's your personal brand, your coaching brand, or brands that we all have worked on, like corporate brands. And I've certainly worked on that. I cut my teeth in beer and household goods. So brands that consumers would buy are all anchored in your brand assets and your attributes. So when it's personal, what are those attributes? And we talk about 3 things. 1, your strengths, and all 3 of us use Strength Finder that we think is, because I think one of the things when you're building a personal brand and you're thinking about your brand as a coach, you need construct and context, right? If I just said, what are your strengths? Start with a blank piece of paper, that can be everything from overwhelming to confusing. And so we start with constructs, whether that's Strength Finder or we have some other assessments and tools that we provide. Personality, right? Who are you? So if we have the same strengths, we could be differentiated by whether we're extroverted or introverted, whether we're creative, how expressive we are, how flexible we are. That can inform your strengths. And the last thing we talk about is what do you value? Because your values certainly inform your brand. And so this is an exercise that we have the coaches in the mastermind do. And this is, if we ask if they've taken Strength Finder, we certainly leverage that, but we also have some of our own assessments we've created. And this is just an example of one, right? So taking the assessment and really understanding where am I more task-oriented people, or am I more focused on possibility or accountability? So this is just kind of a quick shot of assessments we use. And another one, right, where we ask people to, on their personality, is circle for each row, circle the one that really speaks to you. And then out of that, we give a persona, which helps people understand how their personality shows up and and the benefits of that personality.
You know what I was thinking about last time?
Yeah.
Last time we talked about this, I had this realization that I don't know why it took me so long to make this connection, but this is very much in line with strengths-based development, which is something that all three of us we love and are passionate about and use all the time. But it's this idea that when we are using our strengths and our strengths are fed, we have our needs met and we feel more energized by the work that we do. And I feel like that is a really great representation of our power in our brand too, as we're building our brand, that when you know these things about yourself and you know your communication style and you know what your strengths and superpowers are, you find yourself using those more, leaning into those things, which makes your work more rewarding. And it's like this self-perpetuating cycle. You get to use your power, which feeds you more and is more energizing, which makes you show up better through your brand. And it's this really powerful way that I learned early on I learned how to say no to the wrong audience, to the wrong client, so that I could be at my best, not just for them, but also for me. So I think it's important to remember that your power, when you lean into and align with what you have to offer, also makes your job more enjoyable. How you show up as a coach more enjoyable as well. It's a self-perpetuating cycle when you're feeding that, and it goes right back into your clients.
And just even when you're working on your content, this morning I was working on some social content, and it was sounding too serious. It wasn't one of my core brand attributes is making sure that I'm positive and that I do, and I'm helping people feel like they're getting something that is going to be valuable to them. And so I had to rewrite it because it was coming off too serious.
Cool. So I'm guilty of that too.
Litmus test for that as well.
Love it.
Well, it's funny you say that because I can't see Dana and Micah because the way this set. So if I look too serious, it's because I'm just staring at
your focus.
The PowerPoint.
It's not serious. He's really not.
And to build on what Micah and Dana said too, we talk a lot about confidence. The number one driver of confidence is playing to your strengths. So if you're going to be a competent coach, by the way, we're attracted to confidence. It should be about, understanding your power source and playing to it. And so, we do the exercise we do after participants in the mastermind go through the assessments is, we have them prioritize their attributes and the benefits, right? And so we do a good, better, best. And, the best is like, what are the one or two things that the benefits that you're going to provide to your clients that you want to be known for, and better, right? So the 2-3 benefits maybe that you are better than your competition. And so if you think about, then this helps if you've got your front page of a website, you would focus on 50 to 60% of that articulating your best, another 30% or so to articulate what you're better at, and then good enough is just table stakes. And so I think even that's really simplifying it, but this exercise helps you start to frame up your communications. And just for your edification, if you will, here's our what we think is our power, our good, better, best. So that's, and if you look at mine, you'll see facilitation is my best. You also look that one of the ways you can do a pitch is to have an acronym. So Lift Shop is my business. So my benefits are all around LIFT. So you can see that's what those benefits will spell out. I don't know, Micah, Dana, you want to touch on any of your power?
Yeah, go ahead, Dana. You can go first.
Yeah. So this was fun exercise because we had done it different. I had done it a different way. And when we did it with our group, it was really fun to do it at the same time. Because when I worked on my brand, I wanted to be inspiring. I wanted to be that change agent that came in and really helped leaders transform. And then the better was just innovator, networker, and customizer. I have individualization, so I like to customize things. And good enough was just trusted and responsive. So I have kind of the 3 C's I work from, which is the customer is king, conversion, and conversation. So what conversations am I, and how often when somebody reaches out to me, how quickly can I get back to them? And that's my responsiveness. So there was things like that were real important to me as I was building this. So it's a great, and the fun thing is we got to do this with our folks in the mastermind and then respond and help them build this out. So that was really fun. So Micah, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of mine are the same as some of yours, but the thing that I like to talk about that is top of mind for me when we talk about our power and how I want to show up is the levels is really helpful, just to think about the fact that the things that I want to be good enough at, or table stakes, I shouldn't be investing too much of my energy in those things. Table stakes it means good enough. And if I'm trying to differentiate or put too much energy into that area, I'm not putting it into what's most important to me. And the other thing that I like to point out is that my best, that what I have written here as my best, isn't even true yet. I think the engaging and empowering are true. And I feel like that's what I have to offer without really having to try. I love facilitating workshops because I'm naturally engaging. It's a superpower, and it makes workshops fun for me. That's why I do it. That's why I do this work. But that experience part that sits on the end, that's my ambition. That's my aspiration. I want so badly to create an experience for my clients, especially through workshops, but also in the one-on-one leadership coaching that I do. I want it to be memorable. I want them to never forget those engagements working with my company. And I am not there yet. I feel like I'm making incremental improvements every quarter, maybe, in the direction that I want to go, but I'm nowhere near where I want the experience to be. And I love that. I need that reminder that this experience part of my best is an aspiration, not quite true today.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to kind of summarize the brand, right? Which should be your aspiration. It's your desired perception, how you want others to perceive you, and you've got to put resources behind it to get there. This is kind of the culmination of, the P's, right? And getting to here's the next level. You see the purpose, where you can see my purpose there, and you also see the pitch, kind of just so you get and that's my framework. It's a house, but we've got different frameworks that we can show you. And I think that's one of the things that we do is walk through exercises, but then the three of us have different experiences and how we articulate our brand, and also just the framework for our brands and what that looks like is different. Much like when we talk about building your coaching practice, how the three of us, the tools we use and how we build that is different. So I think that's a real benefit of the coaching exchange, is that diversity of tools, frameworks, and experience that the three of us offer.
Absolutely. And I think that was one of the things that we've all been together, I said, for 2 years, talking and helping and just connecting with other coaches, and what I think we've learned from each other. And as Micah said, this is a continual process. It's not a one and done, and you can't do it alone. So we would love to hear your questions about, how to develop your brand as a coach, or questions you have about the coaching exchange. If you have any questions right now, I'd love to kind of just give you a little bit of more of a wrap a bow around what the coaching exchange is, but we'd love to see if you have any questions right now. Just please put them in the chat and we'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, we'll just keep going, and you can pop them in there, and we'll answer them as soon as we get them.
You know what I was just thinking about while we're waiting for people to post a question. I think about this this old Reese's commercials. Do you remember in the old Reese's peanut butter cups commercials? They would always say, "There's no wrong way to eat a Reese's."
Yeah.
I think about it's like, as long as you're getting there, there's no wrong way to eat it. Like, eat it how you like.
Yeah.
That's how I think about that concept. Not necessarily the commercial, but I think about it all the time through the work that we've done in the coaching exchange, both with the mastermind and community. That we're not trying to tell anybody how to run a coaching business our way, or tell them how to do it. Part of what I love about having all three of us is that we've all done it different ways, and it's working. And so I love that it's that customizer coming out between me and Dana. Or H2, you have high individualization,
Yes.
don't you?
It is
It
number one.
That's right. I forgot.
It's there from all three of us. It's amazing that we've kept with the same program.
Right. I know, it's pretty amazing. That is pretty amazing. But I think that's part of the program, is that it's built-in customization, built-in help. Let's help you find your way. And there are three of us to share what's worked for us, and emphasizes the fact that there's no one way to eat a Reese's. There's no one way to build a successful coaching practice. We should put that like as a subtitle.
Yeah,
There's
there you go.
or hand out Reese's, or send people Reese's peanut butter cups.
Food, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the weekly mastermind, and we're going to just go through and quickly remind folks of what this is and what the opportunity is. It's really, we've created what we wish we had when we were starting our coaching practices. And then what you'll get with the coaching exchange, as we've talked about earlier in the presentation today, is you get to work on developing your coaching. Well, what does that mean? Well, the first thing I would say is, what's your model? Do you have a model? Let's talk about it. We each shared 3 of our different frameworks. They were all different, but that's what people loved about it, is they could choose. They could actually go and work on the model during the week, and then we'd come back, because you have homework every week, and you come back and say, oh, I applied this and this is what happened. Or they share thoughts. We have people in the mastermind that are in corporate and they're thinking about starting a coaching practice. We have people that have over 20 years of experience as coaches, but they're wanting a little boost. So they have frameworks, but they were wanting more. And then we have coaches that are just starting out and they have nowhere where to start, as Micah talked about in the beginning. So just giving some best practices, and then actually practice. We practice some situational coaching. These are just some highlights of each of these pillars, but that's under develop your coaching. And then we get into build your brand, which is what H talked about. What is your value proposition? We talk a lot about product development. You don't want to start with about a bunch of products. You want to get to know your customer. What are their needs? And then let's develop products for them. And all 3 of us talked about that. And then what is your social platform, your digital marketing? It was really fun for me. I think it was fun for the guys too, to actually look at people's website, look at their messaging, and share our thoughts. And change happens in community. It doesn't happen by yourself. So that's where the transformation happens. And that's what we got to witness, is people making little tweaks to their business, or big tweaks, or they were just getting started with building a website. And we were able to talk through that, and even just talk about the brand positioning and what does the customer journey map look like? If your customer comes in contact with you, how many touch points do they have? And what does that look like? And how do you frame that? And then what are the things you want to happen along that journey? And so we get into that. And then the third pillar is just growing your business. I did a poll a couple of weeks ago on what coaches needed most, and they're like client acquisition. So we talk about what are ways to acquire new clients. We talk about networking. And then my favorite part, closing the sale. I think people are afraid of being too salesy, and I'm that way too. I would rather just build a relationship and then the sale just happens. And that is what I have found has happened in my business. So I think the guys have probably some tips and some other thoughts to add in here before we go to the next page. But if you think about it, that's what we cover, is developing your coaching, building your brand, and growing your business. Any other thoughts, Mike or H, as we talk through this?
I just remember there were a couple of these topics in particular that people were eating up. Like you could feel the energy, how much they were craving some education and experience to learn from when it came to things like developing products, the product development part, closing the sale, creating proposals. It was those days, especially, where we ended the mastermind session feeling really fulfilled, really rewarded by having those conversations and seeing people grow.
I think also because of the format, so we have each week you'll have a little bit of teaching, and then you'll have time where a pair and share, where you're pairing up with somebody else in the group and talking through what you're working on. And then at the end of the session, we have Q&A. And then we come back the next week. We ask you to apply that, as I said, during the week. So I think some of my favorite moments when people came back and they made a sale, or they came back and they had their website done, or they came back and another client called. So there were some really high moments. This one with Edie was a high moment. I've worked with Edie since she left corporate, and I worked with her the whole last year for corporate. And then she came into the coaching exchange as she was launching her business. And what she loved is how she got, feedback from all three of us. It wasn't just one of us, which I think is powerful. You can't put a price on that. So we all three were able to give her help. And now she's so busy. I haven't seen her as often as I like to, but I'm so thrilled. She's doing great. And she's one of those
That's what we want.
From corporate to her own product. So as we think about Q&A, what questions do you guys have? Are there any questions? And Micah and H, what questions are you guys getting as you're hearing from other coaches? We do have a third of our people that we've had they're in corporate, and they're waiting they're thinking about starting their own coaching practice and just want to get ready, which is what I did. I did a course a year and a half out of me leaving corporate, and that really helped me get ready. And I started doing things on the side. So curious what other questions you guys are hearing. If y'all have any other questions that have come up.
I think some people I've talked to recently who are interested in the mastermind, I wouldn't say we call it the coaching exchange. There's a lot of coaching going on. It's not just limited to coaches. I know I have a couple of folks who are looking to be consultants or facilitator trainers who are also signed up to participate. So I think, coaching is relevant even as consultants and facilitators, and certainly building a brand and building your business. The process, those tools, frameworks, and processes are applicable as well and relevant.
I think that's great. And then we have a Q. Did you have anything, Micah?
I was going to add, the only other question that I feel like I'm hearing more often than usual lately is about timing. People are wondering, do I quit my job cold turkey and start a coaching career, or is there stuff that I could be doing to build up a practice on the side and then cut ties with my current role that feels safer and like success is a little bit more guaranteed? And we talk about that. I think a lot of the things that we talk about in the mastermind are very well things you could be doing as a side hustle, preparing for that time where you cut off from your current role or your current job and take that leap into a coaching practice. So timing is another one that comes up a lot.
And speaking of timing, we are going to start. The next one is this coming Thursday, the 31st. And we would love to have you join us. Here is a QR code with a special discount if you would like to join us. This is only offered here. We'd love for you to join us. We have limited seats available because we want it to be fairly small so that we get a lot of one-on-one and intimate questions, because we want to see you succeed. We want to see you so busy that maybe we don't see you because you're so busy because of what you learned in the coaching exchange. But we hope that you come back. And that's the other thing is, once you're in the coaching exchange, we have you as part of our community. And we have some pretty special people in there, I can say. So
Agreed.
Any other questions or thoughts? Here's the QR code. Here's the link. We'd love to have you join us. Any other thoughts or closing out thoughts, H or Micah, as we get ready to close down today?
No, I think we're good. Just excited to have people join. This has been not just rewarding for the coaches that join the mastermind, but we love it too. We love learning about your business and your dreams and helping you take steps in the right direction.
So just one thing today, I want you to ask yourself, what's keeping you right now from growing? And if you can't answer that, we're going to be here to help you do that. And we want to see you succeed. We love helping and sharing what we wish we had. And we're doing this with the soul of this group, that we care about you and we want to see you succeed. So the 30th is the last day to sign up, because we start on the 31st. So feel free to click
2 more days.
Yeah. And you can just reach out to any of us and ask questions, and we'd love to visit with you. So thank you so much. Thank you,
Thanks,
A.
everybody.
Thanks all.
Thank you, Micah.
Yep.
It was great being with you guys today.
Yep. I hope to see everybody Thursday. Hope you can make it.